I'm Adam.
And I'm Duke.
And this is Where There's a Williams, There's a Way. Hey Duke, it's the holiday season. Are you the kind of guy that's on the lookout for a perfect gift?
Not really. I'm usually too busy looking for my own things.
Like gifts for yourself?
Nope. Well, it's this darn hat of mine. Can't seem to find it anywhere. And a cowboy without his hat is like a horse without a saddle.
Ah, the infamous disappearing hat strikes again. Maybe I should gift you a GPS tracker for that hat of yours.
That might be the perfect present.
In today's book, Boris and Stella live in the city and are best friends. They like movies, hats, and each other. At holiday time, Stella wants to give Boris the perfect present for Hannukah. Boris wants to give Stella the perfect present for Christmas. To make their dreams of perfect presents come true, Boris and Stella each sacrifice something very special. Let's get started. Boris and Stella and the Perfect Gift by Dara Goldman. Boris and Stella lived in the city. Boris played the piano every night in the little restaurant downstairs. He played music that he learned when he was growing up in Russia. Stella adored his music. Stella was a baker. She baked cakes in a little shop next door. Boris adored cake. They both liked hats and scary movies. It was true love. Hannukah was almost here and Stella wanted to give Boris something special. She shook her savings bank upside down. Only a few coins fell out. How could she give Boris something special if she only had a few coins? She looked around the little apartment. All she had of value was a pine tree from her family's farm in Italy. Her papa had given it to her when it was a seedling. It reminded Stella of her home and family during Christmas. Suddenly, Stella had an idea. She put on her favorite hat, picked up her tree, and carried it down a long flight of stairs. The owner of the flower shop next door was happy to buy Stella's tree. It was just the right size for his shop window. Stella didn't need a tree to remind her of her family during Christmas. They were always in her heart. The shopkeeper paid Stella enough money so she could buy Boris a special gift. Stella knew exactly what she wanted to give Boris for Hannukah. She hurried across town to a shop that sold dreidels. The shopkeeper had only one left. It was from Israel. The Hebrew letters on dreidels sold in Israel stood for "A great miracle happened here." Stella thought it was a miracle that she had met Boris. It was the perfect gift.
Back when my daughter was a little kid, I was fixing to buy her a fancy lasso for her birthday. I had my eye on the shiny one, slicker than a greased pig, but I had to part ways with my lucky spurs to get it. Giving up those spurs must have been a tough choice. I bet Sally Joe was thrilled with that lasso, though. She sure was. What about you, partner? Ever traded something precious for a top-notch gift?
I had this vintage globe. It'd been with me through thick and thin, but I swapped it for a heap of storybooks to give the kids at school. Seeing their eyes light up like the 4th of July was worth it.
I reckon those young'uns will treasure them stories more than any old globe.
Boris was troubled too. It was almost Christmas and he still didn't have a gift for Stella. Boris wanted to give her something special for Christmas. He shook his savings bank upside down. Only a few coins fell out. How could he give Stella something special if he only had a few coins? Boris looked around the tiny apartment. The only thing he had of value was his dreidel collection. His mama and papa gave him one every Hannukah when he was growing up in Russia. They reminded him of his home and family. All of a sudden, Boris had an idea. He put on his favorite hat and took his dreidel collection across town. The owner of the gift shop there was happy to buy his dreidels. He had just sold his last one to a customer a few minutes earlier and he didn't have any left. Boris got enough money to buy Stella a special gift. He didn't need the dreidels to remind him of his family during Hannukah. They would always be in his heart. Boris knew exactly what he wanted to give Stella. The little flower shop next door had a beautiful Christmas tree in the window. On the top was a dazzling glass star. It would be beautiful on top of Stella's tree. Stella was a dazzling star to Boris, and Stella meant star in Italian. It was the perfect gift. This year, the 8th night of Hanukkah fell on Christmas Eve. Boris made delicious potato latkes the way his mama made them in Russia. He served them with a giant dollop of sour cream on top, just the way Stella liked them. Stella made a panettone cake like the ones her papa used to make in Italy. She filled it with hazelnuts and topped it with chocolate just the way Boris liked it.
Ain't it something when folks celebrate both Christmas and Hanukkah?
Sure is. Christmas lights twinkling alongside Hanukkah candles. That's quite the sight.
It's like a 2-for-1 celebration. Friends getting together for latkes and gingerbread cookies, singing carols and spinning dreidels.
It's like the best of both worlds, sharing traditions and stories, bringing folks together.
Yep, diversity's what makes things interesting. Just like how we've all got different ways of wrangling life's challenges. Like me trying to lasso my runaway hat every day. It's like my own personal Wild West adventure.
You'll find that hat someday. Until then, let's keep celebrating our differences and spreading that holiday cheer. The last night of Hanukkah was Stella's favorite because she and Boris could light all the candles in his menorah. The room glowed orange. Big, fluffy snowflakes fell outside. It was a perfect Hanukkah Christmas night. But something was missing. Then Boris noticed what it was.
"Where is your tree?"
he asked Stella. Stella gave a small box to Boris. "I sold it to buy this for you," she said happily. Inside the box, Boris found a beautiful dreidel. He threw his arms in the air. "Bоже moi," he said in Russian. "Oh no." Stella looked over at the fireplace mantel.
"Where are your dreidels?"
she asked Boris. Boris presented a box to Stella.
"I sold them to buy this for you," he said.
Inside the box, Stella found a brilliant glass star for the top of the Christmas tree she didn't have anymore.
"Mamma mia,"
she said in Italian. Boris put his new dreidel on the mantel.
"This is the beginning of our new dreidel collection," he said. "It's going to be magnificent."
Boris always knew exactly what to say to make Stella feel better. Then she noticed something lying in the corner. It was a small pine cone that had dropped from a tree. Inside there were seeds.
"Look, Boris,"
Stella said.
"we will grow a new Christmas tree."
Stella always knew just what to say to make Boris feel better.
"Hey, Adam, don't you skip a bunch of holidays?"
"No, what do you mean?"
"You know, leave town during a holiday."
"Well, I frequently go on vacation either during Thanksgiving or Christmas break."
"By yourself?"
"No, I always go with my wife and kids. We're building memories. Do you go on vacations without your family?"
"I'm always going on trips with my buddy Jim."
"You ever spend the holidays with Jim out on the range?"
"Usually Jim's wandering where the buffalo roam and I'm left here wrangling hats."
"Maybe he'll have to teach you a thing or two about keeping track of your gear."
"Ain't nothing like sharing good old times with your best pal."
"I spend my whole life with my best friend, my wife."
Aw, young love.
Speaking of loving things, if you love this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I'm Adam.
And I'm Duke.
And this is Where There's a Williams, There's a Way. Did you know, while gifts are frequently exchanged on Hanukkah, Rabbi Dave Mason, author of The Age of Prophecy, says that doing so is actually a relatively modern practice. It's a custom that started recently in predominantly Christian countries so the Jewish kids wouldn't feel jealous of their Christian friends on Christmas.